one of the things that we try to talk to our listeners about is that, look, if you're going to go and negotiate, if you're looking at suppliers, usually the manufacturer of your product is not the best person to talk to about labeling and packaging.
Lunch with Norm. Lunch with Norm. Lunch with Norm. Lunch with Norm.
Hey everyone, this is Norm Farrar, aka the Beard Guy here, and welcome to another Lunch with Norm, the Amazon FBA and e-commerce podcast. Sorry everybody, my dog Dallas the Dumb, just decided to interrupt and threw me for a loop. Anyways, today we're going to be discussing the power of packaging for Amazon sellers. We're also going to be discussing what the most important aspect of packaging design is. What are the advantages and disadvantages to redesigning your package? And how can brand owners make the difference to their product packaging? So welcome to another Lunch with Norm, the e-commerce and Amazon FBA podcast. All right. Well, first of all, Dallas says hi to everybody. Now he's just laying down. And today we're going to be discussing the power of packaging for Amazon sellers. Our guest is a brand and packaging specialist, the founder of Me Brand. She is one of the leading authorities in the UK with over 20 years experience working as a brand and packaging designer. She also brings business alive through visual design and brand communication. And one of my favorite people, we're going to be welcoming back Kitty Lay, and she should be, what should I say, right after this sponsor. This episode of Lunch with Norm is sponsored by VAA Philippines. Looking for a high-quality virtual assistant for your business? With the rigorous screening, intensive Amazon and Walmart training, and ongoing professional development, get the peace of mind with skilled and motivated virtual assistants for a long-term working relationship. Hire through VAA today, and now let's get back to the show. Let's bring on one of my favorite people, Kitty.
Hi, Norm. Thank you so much for having me back on the show. It's just such an honor, and I really enjoy being on the show.
It's always great having you here, and I always love running into you wherever it is in the world. So, and by the way, so a lot of you don't know this, but Kitty has, with Chris, I believe, a full line of really cool sunglasses, and I get complimented on how they look on me when I have them on.
Amazing. I have a shot of that photo, actually. I'll have to post it at some point, but yeah, you look so cool in that. So thank you for supporting our range.
No problem. And the range is
Kit London.
There we go. All right. So anyways, check it out if you're interested. I know we're not talking about that, but we are, because you came up with the brand, the packaging, which is awesome. But let's talk about this. So a lot of people really don't understand the importance of packaging. And what are some things that you have to consider when you're packaging for a private label brand?
Right. So there's so many aspects of packaging that, you need to focus on. So I'm just going to focus on one thing for now, but it's going to unravel as we go through the show, because I know there's so many things, so many questions that people will have, want to answer. So for me, I would say the most important aspect of packaging design is color. Because that's the most important part for people to subconsciously recognize the brand. Mm-hmm. It's something for the product to stand out on the shelf. And, when customers go into a supermarket or a store, that they need to automatically see your brand on the shelf. So color is a very really vitally important when you're designing your packaging.
One of the things, this just recently happened to one of my clients. He's in the fitness arena. And anyways, his product, he was the first one to develop the product. So there was no competition. And he killed it. 1.7 million in sales in 7 months. So a product that never existed, he is trying to patent. And anyways, in the fitness area, now that there's competitors, we're looking at people that are eating up the market share are using the color yellow, or they're using a more of a red color. He's purple. And when we looked into color, exactly like you said, that is the wrong color. Yellow is actually more towards that fitness, the fitness crowd.
Yeah.
And so what he did on Amazon is everything was purple. And this is up to him. He wanted purple. He created purple, and that's fine. Customers always right, even though maybe not. But anyways, we redesigned it for him, and it was yellow with hints of purple, and it looks so much better.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, yellow and red, they are vibrant colors, and they depict energy and, creativity, and those sort of it's vibrant and, energetic. And purple is much more sort of luxurious, royalty, and, it's a completely different color, but there are different shades of purple as well. So there's not just the royal purple you probably think, of most regal purple, but there's brighter purples as well, and a more sort of funky and different types of purple as well, which you can match with and pair with like yellows and reds as well. So you can go out to town, and it doesn't mean you can't use purple or gray or or aqua or something, but it has to suit what you're doing. But I think if you're building your brand and you're out there all the time, and people seeing that purple and that yellow, and they'll recognize it, and in time people just get used to it. I've seen so many different types of packaging that doesn't look like it should be a laundry detergent, because it looks completely different from what I'm used to seeing. But because they've gone one extreme, but you think, that's quite different. And it's not for everybody, but there's no set rule actually what colors you should use, but there is a psychology behind color that's why lots of brands use a particular color.
And again, doesn't this go back to understanding your audience as well?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. With your audience. I mean, lots of baby brands use muted colors, the pastels, the grays, not the bright reds and the neons as well. That's not really what, parents want to buy into, even though I might like it, but it's serving your audience.
Right. So the other thing too, what I've noticed with a lot of brands, and it doesn't take a lot to do this, and that's outer packaging. So a lot of beauty products, I've got a bunch behind me, but a lot of beauty products just come in the bottle. Instead of paying for a little bit extra, it can make that much more of a difference when it comes down to perceived values. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, absolutely. I love beauty products. I mean, I have a shelf of them, and I love the box it comes in and the carton that it comes, that sort of protects the actual beauty product as well. And I didn't actually bring an example here, but there's a mascara I bought, but the actual packaging has got glitter printed all around it, and it's so pretty, and it's like, well, it didn't have to. I mean, I'm going to throw it away, but I've kept it because it's different, and I like to collect packaging pieces, but I was going to show you actually on the show, but I have got some other examples to show you today.
Tomorrow during our Amazon Live, I am going to be with a brand owner of a cosmetic company, and they're going to show me how to apply cosmetics, which I've never done before. So anyways, but I don't know if we'll be putting it on, but I'll be telling people, showing people how to do it properly. And this is from the brand. So anyways, it's and the reason why I went down that rabbit hole is because the product looks beautiful.
Yeah.
Like the packaging that they have is really gorgeous. They've done it right. And blacks and golds, blacks and silvers, really, really nice
Really
perceived value.
Yeah, and it's that experience you get as the person that's buying into that product. You want that experience. Like, oh, it already feels special. I haven't even opened it up or tried it on, and you're thinking, oh, this looks so special, and it's for yourself. And so I think beauty products, especially, you have to make it that extra special for your customers.
But there's the old iPhone box. They made it specifically for the anticipation. A beautiful box, well packaged. It takes 10 seconds. It literally takes 10 seconds. And
Yeah.
they planned it that way so you'd have that anticipation.
Mm.
And there's all of this that you can do with packaging. But what I'm kind of curious now, what shouldn't you do? What's the worst type of packaging that you could do for your product?
Right. So I've got several areas I'm going to chunk out for you, different worst type or bad type of packaging. But firstly is the materials. So I'm going to talk about environment. So the worst type of packaging you can actually use is, made from plastics, bubble wrap, styrofoam, aluminium foil. I know people say it differently in aluminum. I can't
Aluminum.
say it. Aluminium, I say aluminium foil. But that materials that are bad for the environment are the worst types of packaging. But that's just the material. So so worst type of packaging is also if you actually cannot open the packaging. You're spending ages trying to get through a particular product and packaging, and you can't get. So, for example, the clamshell vacuum plastics, like for toys, and they just mold it, even for like USB sticks and stuff. You just have to use scissors to get into it, and then you end up cutting yourself. Those are definitely the worst type of packaging that you could use, and there's so many different ways you can package a particular product. And I also would say misleading your consumer as well. So, for example, if you've already got a product, you decide, actually, I'm going to repackage it. I'm going to change the packaging slightly. I'm going to make it smaller. And maybe, but I'm going to put new, bigger size. But actually, everything inside is smaller. And then someone's still buying your product. And that's actually the packaging's bigger. Or I'm talking, for example, crisps or food products. Those can be quite misleading. And also packaging that's confusing to the customers. So now I brought an example actually. So I'm just going to I'm going to cover up the label actually, the brand actually. But what would you say that is? Just really quickly. You can't see it. I'll explain what it is.
It looks like one of the yogurt drinks.
Yeah. So this particular product says, "Do not ingest."
What?
Because it looks like it's a smoothie or something. It's actually shampoo. It's water.
Are you serious?
It's hair food for watermelon and pomegranate shampoo. And I bought it because I thought, actually, it's going to plump my hair up and stuff. And then it came through and actually, it looks like a smoothie drink.
It does.
And this is the worst type of packaging because you've actually had to put "do not ingest." So I've got a 9-year-old. If I've got this lying around in the bathroom or something, he might go and drink it. But, this is awful. So, you have to really consider what type of packaging you are labeling onto your products. And this is a big brand as well, so I'm quite shocked, actually.
Yeah.
It's a global brand. So this is a new brand design as well. So it's just come out and it's got different, I would say, flavors.
Different flavors. Yummy.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, Kitty, so I did have a person, like we have this one soap that's cherry and almond, okay? And it is one of the best smelling soaps out there. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
And I had somebody give me a 1-star review because they said that they couldn't eat it. Like they tried it, and I guess they had their mouth washed out with soap. But I had to start putting that on the package, "Do not ingest," because of that woman.
Yeah.
But anyway, and the other thing is with the clamshells, I hate clamshells, and I also don't like when somebody says that they're environmentally conscious, and they have like maybe a craft paper design, and you open it up, and it's in a molded plastic insert.
Yeah.
Like, talk about a confusing message.
Absolutely. It's like the paper cups you get. Some brands individually wrap them in plastic bags, so they're all stacked in plastic, and it's like, well, what is the message you're trying to send? You're trying to be environmentally friendly, yet you're using plastic to wrap all your cups up. So it's really important that you get your messaging right. Don't confuse your customers, because this can kill your brand, and people think, well, I'm not going to buy that from them, their message is mixed up, I don't trust this brand. So yeah.
So we are, it looks like we're getting some comments in, and I see one is from Simon, so I'm not sure if that's sarcastic or not, but anyways, and he's in your neck of the woods. Anyways, if we do have questions, or comments, just send them over. If you have anything, like, packaging is so important, and I don't think, like, people spend a lot of time on the product, the private label product, the label, but not the package. And also the other thing is the little things that are inside the package. For example, and maybe we can talk a bit about this, when you open up the package, or when you open up the box, let's say, and you get a box of supplements, the little things like the shrink wrap around the cap to make you know that it hasn't been tampered with, or the security seal when you pull it off, or a transparent seal when you have a box, just to know it's not tampered with.
Yeah.
Can you talk about that? Like, there's a lot of psychology that goes into adding to the customer experience that might cost you half a penny, or, very, very inexpensive to do.
Yeah, no, I think it is inexpensive, and a lot of brand owners or Amazon sellers count their pennies and think, well, I don't know if, and they have to, and they're contemplating, this simple feature that, it's secure. People want to know that their products are secure, that, especially supplements, the seal that you pull off, the actual plastic as well. You need to make sure that that is safe for the customer, because, your customer's going to lose trust in you. They're not going to be repeat customers who think, oh, I'm not going to go back to them. But yeah, I absolutely agree that, it's only a few dollars more, but for peace of mind and for repeat customers, I would definitely consider that and absolutely put that into your product.
Yeah. Excuse me for a sec. So, and the cost of packaging. When I look at my packaging, I was on the phone 10 minutes before coming on the podcast with a person that we were looking at the product, and they were at a very low price point. And when we did the competitive analysis, just very quickly on the phone with her, or on the video call with her, we went through and we took a look, and she kind of deserved to be in that area. Her packaging was just not quite there yet. And I went in and I took a look, and I did one search, and hers was at a $20-ish price point. And I took a look and I said, look, change the pricing. Okay. Come out with a different brand or a perceived value, but take a look at what this company did. Not a well-known brand, a private label brand, came out a couple years ago, but they came out with a much nicer, probably 50 cents more, maybe 75 cents more for the packaging. And they're charging $79.
Yes.
It is so important. Perceived value. I always talk about those three tiers: low, middle, and upper perceived value. And you don't have to drop a lot of traffic. It just has to be eye-catching. First of all, it's got to have high quality look to it. If you come out with the best product in the world and your images suck, you're not going to get anybody clicking on your listing.
No, it's important. The whole thing of creating your brand, the images, and the perceived value, like you say. And you're absolutely right. I've been working with a client, and they're producing a premium product, and they have competitors, and they've shown me, and they said, well, they're selling at this price point, I'm going to sell it at this, and he's going to have extra value in the actual the product itself. I can't tell you what it is, but it's a food product, and it's a set. So I said, well, I've created everything for them, and it looks premium. And I said, you can definitely charge this. And he's creating a smaller set as well, just to test the market. But I absolutely believe in the product that he's produced. And looking at his competitors, I said, there's no, there's a distinct difference from what you are charging on your product that you're going to sell to the current competitors that are selling. So I've delivered what he's asked for, and I believe that he can actually charge much more as well. He's actually sort of saying, oh, maybe I should go in at this point. I said, no, you actually could probably charge a little bit more.
We're already at the bottom of the hour, and we have a bunch of listeners. And if you are new listeners, it looks like there are a bunch of new listeners. We have something called the Wheel of Kelsey, and that's a giveaway that we give on every podcast. And Kitty, why don't you talk about what you're giving away today?
So I am going to give away half an hour, 30 minutes of my time to consult and have a look at your branding, packaging, designs, anything design related. I'm happy to go through with you. So if you've got logo designs or packaging or any questions, I can help you. So spin that wheel, put your name in.
Very good. So just and to let you know, Kitty is I've seen her presentations. I've talked to her about branding, and she is a true expert. If it's not coming across, which I'm sure it is coming across loud and clear, but if you're just tuned in, to get that 30 minutes is priceless. Like for Kitty to rip through your brand and talk about it, or talk to you about branding, what you should be looking at, it is a great giveaway. So anyways, interested in this, if you're new to the podcast, it's hashtag Wheel of Kelsey. If you tag 2 people, you get a second entry. And again, like I said, if you have questions or comments, it looks like we have a whack of them coming through, then make sure you put it in the comment section. And Kelsey, if you're doing your job and not doing TikTok videos, please hit that button. This episode of Lunch with Norm is sponsored by SureGo Marketing. Ready to take your brand to the next level on TikTok and Instagram? SureGo Marketing specializes in helping entrepreneurs and coaches build profitable brands on TikTok and Instagram, and in less than 90 days. With SureGo Marketing, you could build your brand, create incredible video content, and increase leads without spending a single dime on ad spend. Visit SureGoMarketing.com today and elevate your brand. Now, let's get back to the show. You know what? 12:30. I'm missing this today. My wife is out shopping with her birthday money, and I've got nobody to bring me my coffee. So I'll geez, I should have brought the container down with me. Pretty bad when you need to have you're relying on your wife for the coffee. But anyway, I can't get up in the middle of the podcast. Maybe that would be funny though.
Yeah. I'll take over the show. It's all right.
All right. Very good. So, the other thing that I think we should talk about is there's probably a lot of people that are listening that are relooking at their package now and saying, is this worth it? Does my packaging suck, or how can I improve it? So let's talk about the advantages and disadvantages of redoing your packaging.
Right. So the disadvantages of redesigning packaging, well, if you're designing a new packaging and it's unrecognizable to your existing customers, then that can really alienate your existing customers, and that could result in loss of sales, and it'll be a pointless exercise. But even the simplest design refresh can impact your sales, and you obviously want to sort of recreate it in a particular way as well, but changing your packaging also can redefine your brand identity as well. So there's pros and cons of not redesigning your packaging, but there are the pros. I'm really struggling today. The pros of redesigning is, if you want to be more environmentally friendly, or your current packaging isn't selling enough, and that it fundamentally needs a sort of a brand refresh as well. So I would, if you're losing sales and packaging doesn't work, there might be certain things about the packaging. you might have had reviews that I can't open it, or there's something that doesn't work very well. So that definitely warrants redesigning your packaging. And again, going back to being more environmentally friendly. If you currently use lots of plastics, then perhaps consider biodegradable plastics, or things that you can sort of use a different particular materials that is, better for the environment.
Yeah, I'm starting to see a lot of the egg carton type, like the plastic, recycled plastic for the inserts for different products, and it works extremely well. We just had a what are they? A remote vacuum. We're promoting it on AMZ or on Amazon Live, and it all came in beautifully packaged package. It was all, I'm not even sure what it's called, but it's like a recycled cardboard, and everything was just laid out. I'm looking at some other products that are around me now, and they're doing the same thing instead of the plastic. And it kills me when I see, I talked about it before, when you see a really nice, like a micro corrugated box, it's craft, or it could be just like a nice print on it, and then you open it up and there's a plastic insert.
Yeah.
It just, it's so tough. Like nowadays, we should be trying to get away from that. Everybody is more environmentally conscious. And if you do something like that, like you were talking about, it keeps with the consistency of the brand.
Yeah, absolutely. And, don't make packaging an afterthought, because that's what usually happens. You got the product, you design it, you put all your efforts into that, and the budget's gone in, and it's like, oh, the packaging.
Yeah.
Now what? Now I've got to get another cost from the supplier. Can they do the packaging, or do they have to outsource somewhere else? And it's, it's a whole complete project when you're designing your product, and all the way, there's a whole process that you need to consider, from, the designs, the label, the product, the whole packaging, and the end result, the experience that the customer gets as well. So you have to consider so many things, and it's not easy. Not all Amazon sellers, have the experience I have. Everyone, starts from scratch, and it's understanding that process and where you need to sort of go with your packaging. But I definitely would consider packaging as one of the most important aspects. So,
well, it's interesting that you said that, because everything is interwoven, and it's not a bloody box. You've got possibly the outer box, you've got the contents, so your package, you've got the label, any of the I call them the psychological triggers. It could even be an insert, the instruction book. I've had this happen on a very expensive $700 toning device. Okay. Yes, I tone. No, I don't, but I was testing it out. But it was $799. $799. And it came with such a cheap paper instruction that you just went, this is something a $20 item would come with. And it was tiny writing. And the product, the box itself, was big enough that you could have made it a much bigger, more presentable, even digital. Just here's a QR code, go and read it. So these are just conveniences too, but putting it all together is really what your brand is. If you're creating that brand and you're putting it up and it looks really nice on Amazon, and then you go and you Google the brand and they've got a completely different website and different social media and different everything, that's as confusing as when you open up that box and the bottle is different than the box, than the label. So they all have to be thought of at the same time. And one of the things that we try to talk to our listeners about is that, look, if you're going to go and negotiate, if you're looking at suppliers, usually the manufacturer of your product is not the best person to talk to about labeling and packaging. It's probably better to go to a packaging designer, somebody that specializes in this, and or a packaging manufacturer.
Yeah, Absolutely. And on the back of what you were saying about your $700 product, it goes both ways as well. So I recently bought a mirror, a sort of LED mirror for my dressing table, but the amount of packaging they use for it, and all the extra things, it's like, well, it didn't really warrant all this extra lovely leaflets and all these things. And it's like, okay, that's great. And like another iPad, I had a lovely hard case on it was just really beautifully packaged with the slip band and everything inside. I thought the iPad case was only about 15 pound. It wasn't expensive, but they packaged it so well, and it's like, well, it doesn't really warrant that as well. So you need to have a balance. I don't want to throw the box away now because it's so nice, but it's a wasted kind of exercise for that. There is perceived value, but it's the wrong type, I think, for the wrong product.
That's a great point. And what about, so let's talk about the brand owner. And we've kind of gone back and forth on this, but you don't have packaging, or you're coming up with a new product. It could be either or. But what can the right packaging, what kind of difference can it make to a product or to sales for the brand?
It can absolutely make a difference in terms of making sales or not making sales, and and having repeat customers. That is exactly what we want as Amazon sellers. And the customer is actually looking for something different and experiences as well. So I'm going to go one extreme now in terms of what you could have in terms of making a difference with your product and packaging. So one example I've actually got here was biscuits. A biscuit tin. We all know what biscuit tins look like.
Yeah.
This one's particular from Fortnum and Mason's. I'm not going to spin it because actually it makes a sound. Oh, I'll do that. But it's a music box. But it just has nice biscuits inside. But it's a lovely giftable item. But you can keep that. Yeah. And the actual music itself freaks my son out. So he says, "Mum, don't turn it." I love it. It's just a lovely music box. But people are buying into experiences now. So I'll give you another example. I won't be able to bring it up, but there's this is from Chris actually. We were at an event and he was talking about wine, what particular wine label called 19 Crimes. I don't know if you've heard of 19 Crimes.
No.
It's a particular wine, and on each label, you scan the actual label itself and it talks to you. So the 19 Crimes is based on British convicts that were shipped over to Australia. Each of the wine labels has a story behind it. So one of them could be called, I don't know, I can't remember what, Daniel White or something. And then you'll scan the label with his face on and he starts talking to you. "My name is Daniel White. I was convicted for," and it tells you this whole story in his background, and it's amazing. And you can go on the website 19crimes.com, and you could probably scan. I've been playing with it because I don't have the wine bottle, but I was playing with it on the actual web, scanning it, and the actual label starts talking to you, and I think it's all augmented reality basically. So, but that's something new. Everyone was talking at the event, but by the end of the event, Chris was just like promoting this wine, saying, "Oh, it talks to you." And thought, I want to see, and everyone was intrigued. But that is so cool. That's the sort of experience you want from a product. And back 20 years ago when birthday cards had tunes, wasn't that great? Everyone's like, "Oh, birthday card now sings," and then 10 years on, you can record your own message. That's the sort of experience you want for your customers, because it's like, "Oh, that's different." And it's always challenging what you can do with your products and packaging can do so much. So, if you think think about children. We're always trying to entertain children. We want them singing, dancing. Books can talk to you. They can sing. Why can't our products do that? Why can't our packaging do that to an extent? And this wine label example is amazing. It was like, oh, it's so interesting. And you're learning about these 19 convicts that were shipped over to Australia. I mean, doesn't that make a great story?
That is a fantastic. That's really great. It almost wants hearing it. That could go viral.
Absolutely.
That could go viral. That's really cool. I've never heard of the wine before, but now a lot of people have.
Yes.
Okay. One of the other things, and we've got a bunch of questions. So last question for you is, if there was one piece of advice, what would that be?
The one piece of advice I would give to current sellers is to remember that packaging is as important as the product itself. So don't think packaging is like, oh, I'll think about it later. It's the most important thing, actually. That's the thing that's going to stand out on the shelf, or on your listing. That is the one thing that customer is going to see at the first touch point of your product and your brand. So really, I would say think about the packaging, because that is very important.
Very good. All right. Hey, Kels, let's get into some questions and comments.
Okay, let's see. So we've got a lot of comments. We're talked about Prime Day at the beginning. So from Simon, I've not done any promos and see no difference to any other day, but he's not sure if Prime Day is much of an event in the UK versus like Amazon US. But let me see. From Simon, I'm trailing my sports goods in a nice carton with branding, brand messaging. Looks and feels great, but this adds lots of cost to shipping, storage, and last mile postage. How do you square this circle?
So, is that a question for me?
Yeah, I mean, if you like it, or I can take
like
it.
Okay. Brand message. It looks and feels great, but adds lots. Yeah. Storage. How to square this circle? What do you mean?
How to make up for the costs?
Then bump up your cost when you sell the product. I would sort of review how much you're selling your product for, and then integrate that into what you're actually paying for your product and packaging, because I think you need to sort of consider that, at the end point as well. So definitely make sure that if it warrants it as well. So obviously your product is sporting goods as well. So I think that would be one way of sort of saving on some costs. But the nice carton with branding and messaging looks great. Okay, so maybe it's the materials as well. If you're eventually going to redesign, I don't know whether you actually are still in the process. So maybe look at how much packaging you're using for your particular product. Does it warrant that amount of packaging? So have a little think about what is it you're spending the money on for your cartons. But I think there's no getting away from the shipping and the storage and that as well. So you have to allow for that already.
And one other thing, I'm not sure how it's packaged, but maybe your packaging manufacturer can package it in such a way that it might reduce it in size, so it'll be less expensive to ship. There might be some savings there, Simon, but a lot of the times, if you put time and money into the packaging, you can increase your price, not significantly, sometimes significantly, but you should be able to make up for it. I'm not sure.
I think he's just put thinking of using a neat paper sleeve and card hang tag inside instead of carton. This uses much less material and massively reduces volume and space, which is another obviously option for you as well. So that could be a solution of not having to have a carton. So yeah, that could work.
Okay.
All right. Let's see. Next one is from Neil. Supplier printed our packaging in the wrong colors. Is it okay to use the correct colors in our images, even though it will look different than what they will receive? The second order will be proper colors.
I would say the images need to reflect what they get, what the customer's going to get, because they're buying into that particular product, that packaging in that color. If it comes with a different color, then you're going to get returns. Well, that's not what I ordered. I would definitely change your images to reflect what the current packaging is in the wrong colors. And that's very unfortunate, actually. But until the second order comes back.
Yeah. So Neil, the other thing too is I generally use a spec card. So I get my graphic artist to come up and they give me the exact colors that are for the brand. And whenever I'm getting anything printed up, they get that. So they get our logo, they get the spec card, and then it's on them if they print it on wrong. So I'm not sure if you can go back to the manufacturer and get them to rerun it. I'm not sure how expensive it is, but you might want to consider that because it is important if it's not in your colors. Anyways, or you might be able to sell your products not on Amazon. I mean, maybe there's another way of getting around it, but again, the brand is so important. The packaging so important. If the supplier messed up, then maybe you can go back.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was in the thought that it already been produced and already shipped and stuff. So, but if they haven't, and you're still able to recolor it, then definitely put it back into your brand colors, like you've mentioned. It won't reflect your brand very well if you're using the wrong colors.
Right.
All right. He says the packaging still looks nice, but it's just not our brand colors that we want to use. So
Okay.
All right. From Lakesh, comment. One thing I have always recommended to my clients who source their products from India, that great packaging just costs pennies, but that brings few dollars more to improve the bottom line.
Yeah, absolutely. If you want great packaging, it will cost you, and you need to reflect that into your costs as well, and budget that into what you're putting on outlaying for your products.
And by the way, anybody who's listening, Lakesh is the gentleman I was talking about who had that incredible Indian sourcing tour that hopefully we're going to be able to go on in the next few months. So anyways, that's the one that I was talking about where you can go travel to India, meet up with a bunch of suppliers, and I think with hotels and airfare for $1,000. So anyways, I just wanted to let you know that Lakesh is the person that you can contact about that. And it's pretty cool. So I don't know, Kitty, to go to India, to go and meet with all these suppliers, to have your hotels all paid for $1,000.
I have considered it, but the timings just don't work for me. But I would have definitely jumped on the bandwagon when I saw that from Lakesh, actually. But I'm going to meet with Lakesh when he comes to the UK end of this month. So
well, we'll see him on the cruise next year.
Yes.
All right. From do you suggest working with packaging suppliers overseas or in Canada or the USA?
I would suggest working with a packaging supplier that can do your packaging. It doesn't really matter where they are based, to be honest. Packaging designs can be all around the world. You can find them from 99 Designs, People Per Hour, freelance that's global. And yeah, packaging suppliers are everywhere, to be honest.
Yeah.
So whatever works with your budget as well. If you can work sort of locally, then absolutely work, where you live. But if it's cheaper and that works better and your product's being produced out in the Far East, for example, then I would go for a supplier out there.
I usually will suggest to my clients that, especially if you are doing it overseas, that instead of doing 500 units or 1,000 units, look at 2,500 or 5,000 units, because the price drops so dramatically that it's worth just paying a little bit extra for it. The other thing is, in North America right now, there are some incredibly sophisticated digital printing companies out there that, especially with corrugate, I've got one company called Central Graphics that have paid a ton of money for this new machine that's networked around the world, but it'll allow you to do small run prints with copy changes. So I've got over 100 different soap scents, but let's say I'm running 25 different types of boxes, and they can actually put on the different ingredients, the different soap scent on very small runs, and then on my bigger selling soaps, they can make a much larger run on it, all in at one time. So It's really cool. This is some of the stuff that is starting to be available in North America. And I know that they're networked like in Italy, and they've got a couple of other places in Europe and in Asia. All these types of machines talk to each other.
Yeah.
All right. From Simon, I made a product for a big car brand. The logo color was slightly off spec. They made me change the lot. Me and a team were in the warehouse for days, reworking thousands of units. Still my customer today. All right.
Yeah, especially big car brands. Yeah, you have to get that color right. The color palette is important. So, they have a set palette and that's it. If it's slightly off, then, you should just refuse the whole lot. So, yeah.
All right. And our last comment from Simon. I have 100% stopped using single-use plastics or laminated cards. Only using natural materials adds value to my eco-brand story as well.
That's
Fantastic.
awesome.
Yeah. Fantastic. I mean, it's all going that way. You know, I was in a show in Paris in November, and it was all about talking about eco-friendly, sustainable materials as well. And there's so much that's going to be out there, you know, in the next couple of years. So, yeah.
You know, we had this knife company that sent us over a couple of knives to do a review on. And they had a ceramic blade, and it looked like a plastic handle, but it was all recycled, not wheatgrass. It was, but it was recycled vegetables or straw. And I couldn't believe it. But you have to make sure that when you do something like that, that you make sure that you have it somewhere on the box, especially on the listing, that it is recycled, because it does look like it's a plastic.
Yeah, absolutely. There was this particular material, I think it must have been about 15 years ago. One of my suppliers showed me this new material for making, you know, shopping carry bags instead of plastic or paper bags. It was made from stone. It was ground from stone paper. I loved it. I wanted to use this for Ted Baker, actually, who I was working for, and I got them to make the samples and everything up for me. But there was no way of recycling this particular stone paper. It's ground stone, and they make it. It was amazing. It was like 15 years ago. It's like way ahead of its time, and there's no way of recycling it. So I thought, well, I can't really, you know, use it, because I need to make sure that I can recycle and do everything I can for the environment. But it was amazing. It just felt like paper. It was just you know, really unique and different. So
Kevin King is working with, he's partnered with this company who does packaging as well as different types of products, and they make it out of plastics out of the ocean.
Yeah.
So it not only does that, but here's the catch: it dissolves.
Yes.
Under hot water.
Yeah, I've got that actually. The seaweed packaging.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I thought that was really cool. So it is a plastic, but it's a biodegradable, and it's recycled from the ocean, which I think is great.
Yeah. There's just so many new materials out there. There's people using algae, you know, hemp, you know, straws, different types of things to sort of create sustainable fabrics. I went to a fabric show actually, and they were, I think it was salmon skin for salmon skin leather. So it's a different type of leather, and there was just so many different types of materials that you could think of. I thought, well, it's amazing that, you know, people are going that extreme. But I think, you know, that's a bit more unique for your product or your brand. But, you know, if you can spend that extra for your product, then I would definitely do it.
Right. So I think that's it. We have a ton of, boy, there was a lot of people talking back and forth today. Anyway, Kitty, how can people get a hold of you?
They can get hold of me on my Instagram, actually. It's Me Brand Design. So there's all the links in there, actually. My personal Instagram is Kitty Live Brand. And you can just get hold of me there. I've got all my links, and just message me there. That's easiest.
Okay, very good. All right. So this is your last chance. If you want to get in on the giveaway today, which is 30 minutes with Kitty, then hashtag Wheel of Kelsey, tag 2 people, and we'll get you a second entry. And you got about 30 seconds before we spin the wheel. All right, Kelsey, let's go to a sponsor and then over to the wheel. This episode of Lunch with Norm is sponsored by Jeff Schick Legal. Amazon suspensions are very real. But how do sellers like us protect ourselves against these costly suspensions without spending thousands of dollars? For a very low monthly retainer of just $89, get full access to Amazon attorney Jeff Schick. Mention Lunch with Norm and receive 50% off the first 2 months. Visit jeffschick.com today. That's JEFFSCHICK.com. Now let's get back to the show. All right. So, Kels, the Wheel of Kelsey.
All right, here we go.
It's time for the Wheel of Kelsey.
Thank you, everyone, for
All
entering
right.
today's Wheel of Kelsey. I'm going to shuffle these up. And let's see who today's winner is. We do this every podcast, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So come back live to enter again. And it looks like
Jason.
Jason.
Congrats, Jason.
Jason from Facebook. All right. So please email me, k@lunchwithnorm.com, and we'll connect you with Kitty for your prize. Congratulations.
Okay. So, Kitty, thank you for coming on. It was great talking to you again. Want more great information? Don't forget to subscribe by clicking here. Also, if you want to check out our latest podcast, click over here.
Lunch with Norm.